This video is going to help us practice writing equations and figuring out dependent and independent when we're talking about when we're using applications and word problems. First off, this word problem says, Daniel has decided to earn some money for college by starting a lawn care business. He plans to charge his customers an initial fee. See, for me, I'd circle right here, initial fee of $20 to use the equipment. In addition, he plans to charge $10 per hour for the time he spends on the job. Well, here's the equation. Well, right here, anytime you have some kind of initial fee or a starting point, this is your constant. And right here, when we have per, the thing that's changing, well, it's the amount's not changing, but what is changing is how many hours he's going to work. This number that goes in front of the variable is your coefficient. So right here, again, this right here is your coefficient, and the 20 is your constant. Okay, so if we want to go fill in this table, first off, in 1 hour, how much is he going to charge? Well, he's going to make $30. And in 2 hours, he's going to get $10 for each hour, so that's 10 and 10 is 20, plus a $10 or $20 initial fee, so that's $40. Well, how are you coming up with that? Well, you're taking the $10, times the amount of hours, which is right here, plus the constant. The constant is 20. This one here, 10 times 2 plus 20. Right here, 10. Now this one, it's times, right here, times 5 plus 20. Well, 10 times 5 is 50 plus 20 is 70. Right here, I've got 10 times the number of hours, which is 10. 10 times 10 is 100, plus 20 is 120. Well, right here, let's go ahead. This is my x. This is my y. Here's my x. Now, it also is helpful if you go ahead and go up here and put independent and dependent, because we should know that the x is the independent, y is the dependent. Well, so right here, if I pull this down, it says what is the dependent variable? Remember, variable is talking about the letter, and quantity right here is talking about it in words. Dependent is the end result, the effect. What happens at the end? Well, at the end, there's money earned. Well, what letter are we using? M. So M goes here. And the quantity is money earned. Right here we're talking about, it says what is the constant in the equation? That constant, that was 20. Well, what was that? If we go back up here and look at it, it says it's the initial fee, okay, for the use of the equipment. So I'll come back down here, and I have initial fee. Coefficient, the coefficient was $10. See, constant and coefficient, those are not words, those are actual numbers. And when it says what does it represent, this is the amount charged per hour. Okay, I'm using per or each when I'm describing it. All right, this next one down here says if he earns $100 on a particular job, how many hours did he spend on it? Well, if I made my table, remember the x is the hours and the y is the amount of money. So I need to figure out where this is 100. One way I can do this is by taking 10x plus 20, taking my equation, setting it equal to 100. When I do that, I subtract 20 from each side. I get 10x equals 80, divide by 10, x equals 8. And I'm going to draw my box around it. So right here, my answer is 8. Well, there's another way to do this. Let's see if I can pull this up here. I'm going to go here, and I'm not sure if you can see my Smart View on the calculator. There's a way to do it on the calculator, but right now I'm trying to pull it up and it's not really working. So let's just go back here. I can do this all by hand also. Okay, here's the next one. Take a minute, pause this video, look at it, and try and fill out this process table, and come back and see how you did. This one says Molly received a gift of $50 for her birthday. Rather than spend it, she decided to put it in a savings account in the bank. She also plans to save or add $15 to the account each month. Okay, this is my initial amount. Anytime you have an initial amount, that's your constant. This right here, when we've got each, it's going to go with the variable because this is how much you're changing each month. Oh, there we go. This is my coefficient. So when I go here and look, when you first put the money in the account, the total amount of money is going to be $50. After the first month, we deposit 15. So if I add 15 to this, I have 65. We're not going to worry about interest right now. If I add 15 more, I have 80. Add 15 more, I have 95. Now, how are we getting these numbers? Well, I'm taking 50 and I'm adding to it $15 each month. Well, the number of months since the birthday, that's 0 because you start off with your birthday. Well, 15 times 0 is 0, plus 50 is 50. So here I start off with 50 plus 15 times the first month. That equals 65. 50 plus 15 times 2, there's my 80. 50 plus 15 times 3, there's the 95. Okay, now to figure out, I know that this is going to be my X, this is going to be my Y. To figure out independent and dependent, though, remember, you have cause and effect. Okay, as the months, as the cause, as the months go on, what's the effect? The thing that happens is right here is a total amount. This is my dependent. Right here, the number of months is my independent. Right here it says, what is a dependent quantity? Quantity, we need to write it in words. And this is going to be the total amount in the bank. Now it says write an equation to represent the total amount. Well, let's see if I can move this up just a little bit. There we go. Well, I've got y equals, we've really already written the equation. I've got $50, there's my constant, plus the coefficient, 15 times x. If I bring this down, what is the constant? That constant is at $50. The constant is the first thing you start with, the thing that isn't added each time. This right here, the $50, what is it? This is the initial deposit in the account. The next one says, what is the coefficient? The coefficient is the 15. That is the amount added. Whoops, let me see, let me write amount. Amount added each month. Again, I'm using the word each or per to describe it. Now this says, how many months will it take Molly to get 260? If you had your calculator, you could go into y equals and put 50 plus 15x in there and go and look where y is 260. And so then you're going to find out what the x number is. So and another way you can do that is I can go and write my equation. 50 plus 15x equals 260. I'm going to solve for x right here. I'm going to subtract 50 from each side. I get 15x equals 210. I'm going to divide by 15. And then I come up with my answer. X equals, let's see, 15 times 2 is 30. I believe it is 14. So it would be 14 months before she would have $260 in the account. That's what this means. 14 months, and she would have $260. The next one, pause the video, come back and see if you can figure out what these answers are. I'm just moving some of these up so that you can kind of see them a little bit better. See if I can pull these up. There we go. Okay, first off here, they're going to charge $2.25 for the shoe rental, and then $3.50 for each game. Now, which one of these things do you only pay for one time? No matter how many games you want to bowl, you're only going to pay for the shoe rental one time. If you only pay for it one time, that's your constant. This time, for each game you bowl, so that means we've got our $3.50 to be our coefficient. See, so the $3.50 is the coefficient because the variable is the number of games. All right, so right here, just to go and look cool in the bowling alley and not even bowl any games, you would pay $2.25. Yep, go to the bowling alley, hang out, run around with just the shoes on. Okay? If we went and bowled one game, we would add these two amounts. I would get $5.75. Wait a minute, how is this happening? I'm taking $2.25 plus $3.50 times the amount of games. Well, this one I said we bowled 0 games, and that's where the $2.25 comes from. This one I've got $2.25 plus $3.50 times 1 game. That's where the $5.75 comes from. Then $2.25 plus $3.50 times 2 games. There, let's see what we should have, $9.25. Next one, I have $2.25 plus $3.50 times 3. We've got $12.75. Now, independent and dependent. Independent, the independent is the cause. Dependent is the effect. What's the end result after we're bowling? Well, this is. So here's my Y. This is my dependent. The end result is how much we have to pay. My X is the independent. That's the thing. What do we first have to do? We have to figure out how many games we're bowling. So right here, quantity in words, this should be the number of games bowled. The variable is the N. Write an equation? Well, here we've really already written the equation. So I've got Y equals 225. That's my constant. That's my one-time thing I pay, plus 350 times the variable. And there we go. Now, you could write it, really you could write it with, instead of Y and X, it'd be T equals 225 X, oops, got off a little bit there, 350, and instead of X you use N. Just it depends on what letters they have up here. Now it says, what is the constant? And what does it represent? I said the constant was 225. That's the one-time charge. This is the shoe rental. You only have to pay for the shoes once. The coefficient? Coefficient is what do you pay for each game. This is what it is. This is the amount charged, or you could say cost, per game. Now this one wants to know if you had $15 to spend, how much would it cost you to bowl, or how many games could you bowl? Well, Okay, let's look at this. $15. The dollars goes in the Y category right here. So we're looking to see where Y is 15. If you actually went in the calculator and went in there and went to Y equals and put in there 225 plus 350x, well, let's see. I'm putting in mine right now. I wish I could get it up on my screen, but right now I will do it this way. Okay, if I look and see, I've got here where it says 3 on it, it will be 13. And 4, it'll be 1650. Well, let's look at that. If I take 225 plus 350x equals 15. Well, let's solve for x. I'm going to subtract 225 from each side. And I have 350x equals, what is that? Oh, it should be what, 1275? Yep, 1275. I divide by 350. Okay, well, divided by 350. Oh, man. Okay, well, when you do that, you get x equals 3.64. Well, here's what I was going to say, is right here, there's no 15 in there. Okay? If it's 4 games, it's $16. Do you have enough money if you only have 15? No. But if you only bowl 3 games, it only costs you $13. You have $2 left over. Well, yeah, so you can only bowl 3 games because to get 15, the exactly 15, it'd be 3.64 of a game. Can you really go to the bowling alley and go, hey, I only have $15, so can I just bowl like 6 frames? No, just like you can't go to Walmart and say a candy bar is $1. You only have 50 cents and go, hey, if I take this candy bar and cut it in half, can I just give you 50 cents for half of the candy bar? You can't do that. So reasonably, you have to go down for this reason because it would only be $13. Okay, here's the next one. I would pause the video and try and fill in the table and see if you can answer these 2 questions that are down here. All right, well, for the gift card, you have $25 when you first start. It's saying the cost per video, so we're going to subtract off $3. So I have 22, I have 19, and I have 16. Write the equation that represents the balance remaining on the card. Y equals, well, you start off with 25, and you're subtracting off for $3 per video. Okay, let's look at this. First off, which one of these things is the end result? The end result is right here, the balance. That's my Y. This is my dependent variable. My independent's got to be the X. It's got to be the cause, the thing that we're doing to it. Well, we're renting DVDs. That's why this is my independent variable. In my equation, the constant is the thing that starts off with. It's the initial amount. Well, that's $25. That is the initial amount on the card. Initial amount on the gift card. Okay, so now the coefficient, let me see if I can move this up a little bit. The coefficient would be 3. Well, what is that 3? That is the cost per video. Let me add something in there. Let's do an E right here. When would the card, what's the most amount of videos you could rent on this card, with this card? What is the most amount of videos that you could pay for with just this card? Okay, well, there's a couple ways to do that. Let me see if I can move this down a little bit, get some more room. Okay, I know I have the equation y equals 25 minus 3x. Okay, so if we want to know the most amount, we're trying to look and see where y is 0. Okay, where the card runs out. What is that? So right here, I'm going to take 25 minus 3x equals 0. Okay, well, it looks kind of funky. If I subtract 25 from each side, I get negative 3x equals negative 25. If I divide by negative 3, x equals, negative divided by negative is a positive. Okay, and then we have 8.33. Okay, can we rent 0.33 of a movie? Can we sit there and go, oh, I don't have enough money for the whole video. Can I just pay you $1 so I can see the end? No, you can't do that. So the most amount of videos you could rent without using any extra money is 8 videos. Next, read this problem, pause the video, and see if you can come up with the equation and the dependent quantity. Okay, Tony rented an inner tube from Riverside Rentals for a $15 deposit. Okay, so there's the one-time amount. Okay, this is our constant. Now, we've got $5 an hour for each hour. The hour is going to be our variable because that's how it's going to change. $5 right here is my coefficient. Now, I'm going to go down here and write the equation first. Y equals, first off, what do you have to first pay for? You have to pay a one-time deposit plus $5 each hour. You don't have to use H. You could put like Y equals 15 plus 5X. What is the dependent quantity? What dependent is the Y? What's happening after we do all this? Well, that's how much we're being charged. So it's the total cost to rent the inner tube. Here's the next one. Pause the video, come back and see if you can come up with the right answer. Okay, on this one it's talking about the dependent quantity. The dependent is the end result. Okay, basically like this. If you go to work, what are you working for? You're working for your wages. So the answer should be D, total amount of wages earned.